Hello, I'm Tim Wilde, and these are my thoughts on episode 4 of the Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus, The Gathering Storm, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. It started off like, what's going on? And then the episodes went to like, it's alright, it's getting there, I'm warming up to it, and then it just sank. This episode was, every little thing that they did is wrong. And I know everyone's going to be like, oh no, Tim, you overthink things and you think you know all about Boba Fett or anything. It's just because he's not the way he was, like in your imagination or some stupid crap. It's not consistent and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't... if you're going to do non-linear storytelling, you have to have some way of helping us keep in mind what the time frame is. How freaking... He was 5 years, right? This Return of the Jedi was 5 years before Mandalorian. In these flashback sequences, we see him climb out of the pit, get entrapped by the Tusken Raiders, become one of the Tusken Raiders and take out a train, and then make his peace with those people. And then the next episode, like, without us having any concept of any time, like 5 years of time passing, they get massacred, and then he walks around riding around on a bantha, and they are freaking slower than crap. I don't know why he's crossing so much terrain in a bantha. I never imagined they were like meant for long distance travel. It's more for hauling heavy things. Like that's what I imagine the Tuskens did, for them to build their Tusken forts and pull big huge pieces of ship what's it called, debris, things like that, dragging across the desert and stuff, so they can make their crazy little hovels and stuff and their little societies, whatever they were doing. They were riding around in the first movie in A New Hope, but like, I don't know, I never felt like they were like this used for long distance journey, and that's the only thing that makes sense that this is taking 5 years for him to wander around, is because he's riding a freaking bantha everywhere he goes. Especially, he's already come upon speeder bikes, and he's even stolen speeder bikes. Why is he riding around on a mammoth? For the tradition of it? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's not the big issue. The big issue is that we don't have any concept of the time of what's going on. The Tusken Raiders died in the last episode, and the only way we know we're going into the past is because he's having these flashbacks while he's in the Bacta tank. While he's in the Bacta tank in the future, in the Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian timeline, he's having flashbacks in detail, in sequence of what happens, day by day. That's like telling this long narrative. He has a dream in chronological order. Every day is a new chapter in his dreams in the Bacta tank. Or are we supposed to believe he's like meditating, just remembering the process? Well, that doesn't make sense, because we saw in a flashback him crawl out of the Starlight pit in his armor, get looted, and then but he's dreaming or remembering, but he doesn't know what happened to his armor. Well, his subconscious showed the audience what happened to his armor, and then he doesn't know what happened to the armor? Or was that not a dream sequence? We were just given this little fun little preview of what we were getting into, but that wasn't an actual flashback. They didn't make that clear if that was the case. It just doesn't make sense. And now all of a sudden he's camped out in the middle of the desert, and then he sees the events from the Mandalorian season 1 encounter where she was shot and left in the desert when he came to and from Mos Eisley. He finds her, nurses her back to hell, drags her to Mos Eisley, which, remember in Mos Eisley when it was like run down and like there was no business, nothing was thriving, there was no one in the cantina, there was this old lady running the docking bay that was working with old pit droids that are outdated, but somehow there's this thriving underground cyborg underground thing with the teenagers, that they have all this money for these implants and all this stuff. What is this? And who are these kids? When were there so many kids? Watch Mos Eisley, the whole sequence in the first movie. There wasn't a single person that was under 40. I don't know. This isn't Mos Eisley. This doesn't feel like Boba Fett at all. He's just making weird decisions. The Sarlacc pit is not the Sarlacc pit. Okay? Do you remember in Return of the Jedi when there was a skiff that was shot by the turret on the sail barge, and it was like broken and leaning over, and you had Lando Calrissian barely hanging on to the staff from one of the prison guards. And Han Solo was dangling over with his feet barely attached, and he was like holding Lando with one hand and used the gun to shoot the tentacle from the Starlight pit. The tentacle which wrapped its leg around the dangling Lando Calrissian on loose sand and wasn't able to just yank him right into the pit. He was pulling, and Lando was able to kind of hold himself there slightly for a little bit, long enough for Han to take his shot. The tentacles from the Starlight pit were not like so strong to reach up and pull down a freaking spaceship. It couldn't even pull Lando. It didn't reach up and grab the skiff, because now they're making it like this aggressive predator thing. I always felt like the Starlight pit was this kind of this instinctive, like a Venus flytrap. If something lands in there, it's gonna grab it. That's all it does. Now it's like, rah! It's like this big monster is grabbing the ship and yanking it down like this crazy, like a Tremors creature or something. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And how does Boba Fett not know his armor is not in there? What was he going to think? He could just look right in there? He didn't even understand how he got out of it. That's not even how he got out of it. She just went into the Jabba's palace with that little Jedi training device that like had cameras and could like have heat vision or whatever, and shot it all through Jabba's palace. Why didn't they send that thing down into the pit to take some radar or take some shots? I don't think that would have disturbed and woken the Starlight pit. Now, dropping down the sonic boom beam or bomb was awesome, and as soon as that thing popped open, I got really excited. But it's not. Even Sarlacc is weird, and wouldn't Sarlacc be like starving and having choked on a bunch of freaking wreckage for a long time? Like, I don't think creatures are going out there hanging out at the Sarlacc pit very often. I don't think with the debris there from the sail barge, I don't think a lot of like banthas and dewbacks and stuff are just wandering across it. That's where he got his food. And speaking of feeding creatures, I never would have imagined that a bantha was a carnivore. Why would a bantha be a carnivore? What is it going to run around and eat? Banthas run around in herds. How many herd animals are like carnivorous is the word? Like lions and stuff, like there's packs and there's like wolves and things like that go in, like there's prides and things and cats, but like they have kind of like jobs. They have there's like, you're the scout, we flank, or like you're the hunter and I stay back and take care of the babies while you go out, like all that kind of stuff. There's still kind of roles that are played in herd creatures. Most herd creatures that just wander, like we saw in the special edition Return of the Jedi, they're carnivores. They just wander around and just eat or drink. That's all they do. Imagine like a herd of buffalo, or a herd of cattle, or a herd of hippopotamuses. I don't know. But they wouldn't be hunting. Why would a bantha be going around? What's it gonna hunt? Minox? Minox live in caverns and in rocky areas. Banthas, that we saw in Return of the Jedi, just trek across the desert. Are they listening? Are they paying attention? Then you have the big Wookiee, Kershak, whatever his name is. He's sitting there getting drunk in the bar, and then he's watching these Trandoshans just gamble and have a good time. I like that, and I don't remember if they said it in this show, but it hasn't been in any of the movies. But Trandoshans are not anciently, during the rise of the Empire, they were slavers of the Kashyyyk, or the Wookiees from Kashyyyk. And it was cool that he's watching them. He gets all pissed off and starts a fight. Now, it wasn't a gladiator thing. She didn't even mention that. He just gets up and just goes and starts throwing down with them out of nowhere, unprovoked. I like that because I understand he's getting drunk and he's getting his emotions and everything are just coming out, and he's getting frustrated, but nothing was like triggering it. It wasn't like they were doing anything that's like reminding him of the shell shock of his glory or his horrors of in being in the gladiator pits or anything like that. Nothing like that. It's not like the Mandalorian watching a droid or the hammering of his armor and stuff and it's reminding him of things from his childhood when the battle droids were attacking. Like, there was nothing triggering. He's just getting drunk, goes over and like beats him up. What's wrong with that? Well, Trandoshans aren't like just feeble creatures. They're pretty hardcore. He like backhands one, and it flies across the room and crashes into the wall and collapses on, or he's passed out. He knocks out a couple of other ones, throwing them all over the place, and they're going down very quickly. But remember the fight where he fought an unarmed, weakened Boba Fett coming out of the Bacta tank, like I complained about last time, with a fully charged, excuse me, electric brass knuckle thing, and in full strength and a downward punch with all of his force and his muscle and the weight and the momentum behind it, nails Boba Fett in the face. And he just turns around like he's ready to keep going. Meanwhile, just an awkward backhand of these guys, they fly across the room and they're out conscious. It doesn't... Oh, I hate it. I kind of hate it. He goes into Jabba's palace trying to sneak around, trying to find his ship. Fine, I was excited about that. He's going to infiltrate, and they go to the water the water drain system, which is like super huge for how much water trickles out of there. But whatever. It's an old palace that on a planet that once was covered with water, apparently. Whatever. She cuts it with weird, awkward editing that you couldn't even see her really going for the bottom part. So it seemed like she just cuts the top two parts of the two bars and then kicks it, and somehow it just breaks at the bottom. But weird editing right there where it shows her lean over to cut the bottom and then it shows her lean over to cut the top. It's kind of weird. Anyway, they go in there, sneak into the kitchen. And there you have, I think his name is EV-99, if I remember. The droid that was in the dungeons in Return of the Jedi. That yeah, you're a feisty little one, but you'll still learn some respect. That droid, I'm pretty sure they said in canon that was the droid that was the bounty, or that was the bartender in the cantina in The Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure that was like official. But now, here we are in this messed up chronological order, or chronology, where Mandalorian stuff has already happened, but now he's here with the assassin that he picked up from the end of that episode with the cantina sequence, infiltrates, goes in, and there's the droid again, talking to another droid, and they have a fight. And why is a chef droid gonna just start doing his spinning his arms and limbs around like he's freaking General Grievous? I don't care. It's okay, whatever. So that's kind of goofy comedy, and it's of course a Disney show that. Well, I'm not gonna say that because George Lucas started doing stuff ever since special editions. I was recently remembering, but then they have these goofy little cartoony droids that you're gonna make plush dolls out of or something, coming out being committed. Can you imagine that little droid that walking in Jabba's court? Do you think Jabba would let that thing live more than 10 seconds? You remember when the dungeon droid was talking to R2-D2 just because he ran into a Gamorrean guard, or he was just whistling kind of loudly and stuff, and he's like, you're a feisty little one, but you'll soon learn some respect. You think that goofy little droid just walking around running through the ovens and stuff and just evading Boba Fett was going to last more than 2 seconds in Jabba's court? I don't think so. It's too goofy and cartoony and stupid. And Boba Fett sees it, and he has his staff, and he goes for a downward swing. A short little, vertical droid, skinny vertical droid, standing right there, and Boba Fett goes with a downward strike and completely misses wide. I thought we just watched him do all this stupid training with the Sand People where he became proficient with his staff, but apparently he doesn't have depth perception for something that's too low. So he goes and he swings wide and the thing's running off and he's chasing it around the kitchen saying, come here, you. And he was trying to be funny. It doesn't work. It's dumb. Boba Fett would take a wide swing at a robot that's this tall and just hit it and golf swing at it. You know what I mean? Then he finds it and he holds it. You know who I am? I'm Boba Fett. Why would this droid give a crap? And the droid turns itself off. What was that supposed to be? Committing suicide? Or just powering down so he's gonna be I'm not a threat. Throw him in the garbage. He would have severed his neck. They just cut the other one's neck off and he beat the crap out of the one that's not EV-99 or whatever his name is. But this little one, because it's small and cute and they're probably gonna make an action figure out of it or a little plush doll, they had to let it just power down and be funny. That's not... And why are there guards walking around patrolling Jabba's palace? Do you remember when Luke got into Jabba's palace in the middle of the night? he got through the door, and Bib Fortuna just ran up. He's like, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. He tried to like cut him off after he killed the 2 guards. The 2 guards were just hanging out. They're just chilling there. No one even patrols the outside. But for some reason, we have guards walking in formation patrolling the kitchen? What's going on? Was Bib Fortuna more concerned about security than Jabba the Hutt was? That doesn't make sense. Anything else I can whine about? Was there anything good in this episode? The Slave One coming down and taking out the speeder bikes, that was pretty cool, but that's like all CGI. You can do fun stuff with CGI. Feeding that teeny little leg to the Rancor. The Rancor is underneath looking up. He's reaching up with his claws, and he like drops the thing through the grate. Is he like dangling his mouth under there like that? Was he gonna grab it with his little hands, his little long freaking talons? I don't get that. It would have fallen on the ground, and there's no way the Rancor, those big claws, is gonna pick up that teeny little leg from his meat. And I swore the guy at the end of the table, when he was making them swear loyalty or whatever, he was trying to make them swear at least an alliance. And then the one on the right, the Trandoshans, they say, "Oh, we will abide" or whatever. And then the other ones, the Whippids? No, not Whippids. What are they? Aqualish. The Aqualish ones on the other side are, they agree, and then the one at the end like hesitates for a second. I was like, oh, there's always got to be someone at a meeting that's going to disagree with the crime lord. And I was going to make the joke that he always sits at the foot of the table. You ever notice that? It happened in Joker, or in Batman. It happened to Dick Tracy. It happened in Sherlock Holmes. And there's always the one that holds out sitting at the end of the table. But he agreed it anyway, so I was like, oh, well, okay. Anyway, Boba Fett going to the Starlight Pit. Why... He, without his armor, is like he has no other resources than that to go down there and like come out. And I thought she was pouring some kind of antibacterial thing that was gonna like quell the acids all over his face. And then he's pouring it, and then he just drinks it. So it's just water. They're just rinsing it off with water. They have like sonic showers and stuff in this universe. They've established that in this show, or at least in Solo. But no, he just goes into the stomach of the Starlight Pit, comes out, and just douses himself with his canteen. He's not stripping his clothes off or anything. No. He's going to require bantha treatments from that. Or was the bantha treatment... Is that what the cause of bantha treatments? They didn't even establish that. They just said, oh, you're completely healed now. From what and when? I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And why is there so much traffic coming to and from the Jabba's palace, by the way? What is Bib Fortuna doing? Like, it doesn't seem like he'd be the one that would be earning everyone's respect. I don't know. He just probably sat around and just ate food. He just probably would have existed. Oh, the other thing. They tried to backpedal and tell us at the little campfire scene why he suddenly has this change of heart, that he's tired of working for stupid people that are going to end up getting him killed or whatever. It's Boba Fett. That was never the point of Boba Fett. He was not about like, this is just the day job, and I just want to be successful and make a good living. No, he was all about being like the best bounty hunter and taking on the greatest challenges in the galaxy. It wasn't about the money. It was never about the money, because he had plenty of money. They established a lot of that in other canon, but like, him being like, oh, I decided to let it all go. The Tusken Raiders took me in and stuff. Well, just because you run around with them for 5 years, it doesn't explain why, like, him being humbled and why he wants to take over a syndicate family, make a family. And here's the other thing. This is what I was thinking about watching this episode. What's the end game here? Is Boba Fett going to take down this other syndicate and just kind of rule Tatooine, like, peacefully with everyone's respect, and just let all the other families and organizations just run their own areas and terrain and territories by themselves however they want, as long as we just all get along? He just wants to sit on Jabba's throne and just kind of hang with his Wookiee bodyguard and his assassin just hanging out there. What? I don't know where they're going with that. It's got to come to some point where he's gonna get okay, if they did the show where you're watching him as a bounty hunter or seeking out Luke Skywalker, like I said, which would be his motive, coming out of the Starlight Pit, that would be an interesting story to watch, the journey of him trying to chase after something that's not a bounty, that's not money, it's not a prize, it's not a trophy Wookiee hide or something like that. He just wants revenge on Luke Skywalker, or against Luke Skywalker. That would make sense. That would be interesting. Or him just going off and being like a bounty hunter. That would be cool, and that would be interesting. Where he's taken over the Jabba the Hutt palace just to hang out and just rule. Like, what are they going to do at the end of that? Just him being like, I want to be the best crime family, so my house is going to take out all the other bad crime families. That's stupid. That's really stupid. If that's all that's going to happen, and it's just like there's a missed opportunity where they could have done a lot more. Anyway, I don't know. I trust Favreau and Filoni. They have a lot of good ideas, and there's a lot of, there's some direction that they can go. They pulled off some amazing things in the Mandalorian series, and also some flops in the Mandalorian series, even though everyone else gives it way too much credit. It's great. I'm not saying Mandalorian's not good. I am saying Boba Fett is wrong. It's good, but it's wrong. I don't know. And Boba Fett, what did he do? He took out the speeder bike gang, and he turns and looks at her like for her approval. Like she turns and like smiled at him or something. Like he was supposed to like be like, yeah, did you see what I did? That is so not Boba Fett. That is so not Boba Fett. And remember in Attack of the Clones when his dad was fighting a Jedi Knight out on the platform on the dark and stormy and rainy Camino, and he was able to turn and use the blaster turrets to shoot at Obi-Wan Kenobi, successfully targeting him. But now all of a sudden he's like in the cave or the hangar bay at Jabba's palace, and guys are coming in from one door, and he's trying to shoot at them in the one, or he doesn't try and shoot, he's just trying to blast off and like get away, and he's like, I can't see anything. You know where the door is because you're watching her shoot at them. You can at least start shooting around that direction maybe with these awesome guns. No, Tim, the guns don't work because it's been parked for a year. Well, no, because then he shoots down some speeder bikes, and we didn't even see him take it to the mechanic shop. That would have been awesome. We saw the crest in Mandalorian get worked on and fixed. I'd be much more interested in seeing the Slave 1 be fixed. Oh, and they can't call it the Slave 1. Did you notice that? He had to say, I want you to help me find my fire spray blast boat, or whatever it's called, the fire spray ship. I'm like, you mean because you couldn't say Slave 1 because Disney says that's offensive? Then he should have said my ship to be an inside joke, because that's what Disney started marketing all the Lego boxes and toy boxes that have Boba Fett's ship. It's just called Boba Fett's ship instead of Slave 1. Even though the term slave is a concept that has existed for, or the concept of slaves was long before just American slavery of Native Americans, whatever, or not Native Americans, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, whatever. I thought that would have been funny if he said, we got to go get my ship. Or it said the line Boba Fett's ship. That would have been hilarious if they did that. If they wanted to be that meta and funny about it, that have that little Easter egg for people that followed that story. Not to be jerks about it, but it would have been amusing. I would have thought that was really clever. But no, he said my fire spray. I'm like, who other than people like me that have like the role playing books and the manuals knew what the fire spray was? Anyway. All right, that's my thoughts on it. It's just, it's not in character. The battle is inconsistent. The chronology is, I know everyone's going to say, no, it made perfect sense to me. Well, that's because you were like kind of forcing it to and connecting dots to yourself that you're not supposed to have to do. It should have told the story a little more clearly. How we got from here to here. How long was he wandering around? What they could have done is, like, before the Tuskens got massacred in the last episode, do or say something that would show us, the audience, how long or how much time has passed. The only thing they did was when he went into Mos Eisley, it showed the stormtrooper skulls on the pikes. That's the only thing. And as far as I know, that happened like soon after Return of the Jedi, because after Return of the Jedi, it shows all the planets cheering, including Mos Eisley. It showed Mos Eisley cheering in the special edition. So that didn't really clarify anything. Having stormtrooper helmets with blood on pikes, I don't know. I feel it's sloppy, and it's not because I have a reputation that I can't follow plot. I can't follow plot. I can follow everything going on here. It's just the storytelling, the non-linear storytelling wasn't being done very well. Seems like we've caught up completely, but stupid. it's just a disappointment. That's all. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Not my show, that show. Because I'm glad it's there. I love seeing Slave One. I love seeing Boba Fett. You know, he's spending plenty of time without his helmet, but I'm not going to complain about that anymore. I'm used to it now. And it was awesome. I said in the first episode, I loved that we saw Jabba's palace, and I love that we got to see more of Jabba's palace. I hope they spend more time there. We got to go see more of the Starlight Pit. I wish we could have seen a little more. I wish he could have had a little PTSD of him inside of it getting back out, like I mentioned before. That was another opportunity they had that they missed. Instead, we had to have this ridiculous fight where he fought it and shot it and killed it, and it was like strong enough, pulling down Slave One. I don't know, maybe it's because the Starlight Pit's supposed to be more mature now. Maybe it grew up in the last 4 years. And you'll think, well, yeah, maybe it was just an adolescent Starlight Pit in Return of the Jedi. Except no, because it already had a reputation for digesting something for over 1,000 years. And I don't think that's a literal 1,000 years, but clearly it's been around long enough to take a long time to digest something and maybe regurgitate something that they're like, holy crap, that thing was in there for a long time. Or it's just a scary myth, just to, you know, give it a notorious reputation that's just going to scare everyone with its infamy. Maybe that's what it is. But in any case, it's definitely not a full-grown Starlight in the Return of the Jedi. And now it's like super, you know, roided up Starlight Pit that can pull Slave One down into it. Whatever. All right. Thanks for watching.